There was a very interesting period of time right after the Pain arc. The Leaf Village was finally victorious in the battle against Pain, and Naruto became a hero loved by everyone in the village. Many people thought this was the perfect opportunity for a time skip because it ends Shippuden on a very strong note and opens the door for so much that doesn't necessarily have to happen in the immediate timeline. I think a time skip at this point would have been pretty incredible, but there's something else that could have also worked really well here, and that's a Leaf Village Civil War arc. Now, that's not to say that you could only have one or the other. Imagine after the panel of the villagers throwing Naruto in the air, we take a break for a couple months to a year, and the first chapter back opens with Naruto and maybe some of his friends in a Leaf Village prison for conspiring against Danzo, the acting Hokage in this timeline. It will be similar to the cold open we got at the beginning of Naruto Shippuden, when Naruto and Sakura reunited with Sasuke during the Tenchi Bridge arc, and I think that'll be pretty fitting to Naruto Part 3, actually. Now, would a Leaf Village Civil War arc fit well into the continuity between Pain and the Five Kage Summit arc? I strongly believe the answer is yes. You may need a few minor edits here and there, but honestly, this is the only time in the series that makes sense for it to happen. The conditions are perfect. Tsunade, the current Hokage, is in a coma. The Leaf Village is at the weakest it's ever been, while Danzo and the Foundation escaped the events of the previous arc relatively unscathed. And you can have major tension between Naruto, the hero of the Leaf Village, and Danzo, the potential new Hokage. Their relationship would be especially tumultuous following Naruto's meeting with Nagato during the previous arc. While Danzo is openly blaming the destruction of the Leaf Village on Jiraiya for getting involved in the affairs of the Hidden Rain Village, Naruto would be enraged at Danzo for attacking his master, especially when he is no longer alive to defend himself. And especially after learning from Nagato himself that Danzo is largely the reason why he became Pain in the first place, because of that shady deal he made with Hanzo that resulted in Yahiko's death. Throw in the possibility of Danzo ordering the assassination of Tsunade while she's still in a coma to secure his position, and it getting traced back to the Foundation. Naruto would be ready for war with this shady organization, and I would love to see that. But it doesn't stop there. Kakashi was also a prime candidate for the position of Hokage during this time period, as he was formally nominated by Shikaku, much to the pleased reaction of the feudal lords and the rest of the leadership within the Land of Fire. I can see Shikaku or Kakashi trying to raise suspicion of Danzo by publicly questioning him about his whereabouts during Pain's assault on the village, but I wouldn't put it past Danzo to try some shady, underhanded method to coerce everyone to nominate him instead. I mean, he did do something similar during the Five Kage Summit arc with Shisui's Koto Matsukami, and we can't rule out the possibility of Danzo just plotting a military coup and seizing the Hokage position and installing himself as the new leader, regardless of if the council chose Kakashi, regardless of if they even convened to discuss the matter at all. And that could be the catalyst or the spark for the Leaf Village Civil War arc. And here's the brilliant thing about this arc. It's perfectly positioned within the series, and if carefully written, wouldn't affect the continuity as we know it. There's absolutely nothing to lose, and in fact, so much to gain from adding this into the story. In fact, a Leaf Village Civil War arc had the opportunity to correct a lot of things that I disliked about the Pain arc, namely the fact that shockingly few characters got a chance to shine during the invasion. First and foremost, Team Guy is back in the village, so there's no excuse for all of them to not have a lot of screen time. I imagine Kakashi placing a lot of trust in Guy as he gets closer and closer to being considered the next Hokage, and for the rest of the Konoha 12, they had a pretty weak showing during the Pain arc, relatively speaking. I mean, Hinata got a very great moment when protecting Naruto, and Choji got a great team-up scene with his father and Kakashi. But other than that, this core group of characters we grew up with, we're lucky if they had maybe a 60-second cutscene. That won't be the case with this arc. The Konoha 12 are next in line to inherit the Will of Fire from the older generation, and I think this would be a great opportunity for them, their families, and their clans, their entire clans, to get involved heavily in the defense of the Leaf Village. It's going to be all-out war with actual clandestine shinobi tactics, so this could actually be the most fitting arc in all of Naruto. Our protagonists are going to be up against very powerful, mysterious shinobi that were handpicked by Danzo himself and forced to hone their skills to a lethal precision. in ways many shinobi have not seen before. And let's not forget that Orochimaru and Danzo were collaborating, so it's very likely that many of these shinobi have been enhanced through some unethical practices. So I think while the Leaf Village would still have the numbers advantage, especially after Nagato revived everyone, they could still suffer massive casualties, and the constant danger all our characters would be in would definitely raise the stakes. I also want to see more from the Jonin and the special Jonin in the Leaf Village, the ones that grew up under the leadership of the third Hokage and believe in the will of fire. I think they'd be willing to put their life on the line to defend the Leaf Village against Danzo and the Foundation, who have a very different idea of what the Leaf Village should be. I can see characters like Naruto and Kakashi going around recruiting different Leaf Village Chunin and Jonin to fight on their side. It would be great seeing Naruto interact with these characters again, as they rarely get a chance to do anything in Shippuden. Characters like Anko, Ibiki, Genma really needed more screen time, and this would be a great place for them to, get more to do. Characters like Yamato and Sai rarely got a chance to shine during the original run of Naruto, so this feels like the perfect arc for them to showcase their skills, since Yamato is a former Anbu Black Ops member and Sai is literally a member of the Foundation, which means there's a lot you can do narratively with this character to make him, interesting. But the Anbu Black Ops as a whole would finally be able to have some narrative relevance and showcase just how versatile, cool, and powerful they really are. And Kakashi also has history within the Anbu Black Ops, so it'll be interesting if he could get people like Yugao on their side. Of course, he'd have to be careful because the Foundation members could also be doubling as Anbu Black Ops shinobi since there is overlap. But I think Kakashi would know who he could and couldn't trust. It would also be pretty interesting if some old friends or comrades of Kakashi and Guy ended up being in the Foundation. It could make for some very emotional battles. Shikaku nominated Kakashi for Hokage, especially to keep Danzo out of the position, so I'd be excited to see him in the original Ina Shikacho trio in action. With Kakashi being the leader of the movement and Naruto being maybe a symbol of the resistance against Danzo, I can imagine a lot of people being swayed to their side. And with Naruto having so much power and newly acquired influence now, I think the imagery of him sitting atop Minato's stone face on the Hokage mountain, as he contemplates what his father would do in the situation, would be incredibly powerful and emotional. He'd probably remember all the times he used to paint that very stone carving without realizing it was his father at the time. But this is a great time for Naruto to think about these complex topics because power-wise, he's closer to the Hokage position than anyone else at this point. He's not a kid anymore chasing the title for superficial reasons. He's matured quite a bit and is going to have to ask himself some very important questions. What does the Leaf Village stand for? What does it mean to be a leader? These are questions posed by Sasuke later in the series, and I think it's something Naruto should have been faced with before their confrontation. After maturing his philosophy after facing Nagato, and maturing physically by training at Mount Miyaboku, this would have been a great opportunity for Naruto to continue growing by diving into the politics of the real world. I think exposing Naruto to the darkness of the Leaf Village would also reaffirm his promise to Nagato after he learned firsthand what his village did to them. I think Naruto would also think back to Granny Chiyo's last words about him becoming a Hokage the likes of which has never been seen, and to change the future for the better. I think this is a prime opportunity for Naruto to learn more about the previous Hokage and their tenure as well, so he can have a deeper appreciation for those that came before him, and can learn from their mistakes and their successes. It'll help narrow down exactly what kind of Hokage Naruto wants to be. And with that, Naruto will be ready to clash not just physically, but philosophically against Danzo, who has very strong beliefs about what a Hokage and what the Leaf Village should be. Danzo would probably recognize Naruto's power, but would still view him as weak because of his inability to choose the village over Sasuke. Naruto at this point knows Danzo is woefully unqualified and unworthy of being Hokage, but he can't just win this battle with his fists. Against Pain, he had to use Talk no Jutsu to save the day, but Danzo is a crafty guy. He's patient, intelligent, honorless, and has a lot of political power, which makes things even more challenging for Naruto. To win this fight, Naruto will have to think like a leader, like a Hokage. And I think this arc could really test Naruto and push him mentally. Seeing his friends captured or being sentenced to death, or worse, could really push him to his breaking point. but hard times make strong leaders, and I think Naruto will come out on the other side of this all the wiser. And not just Naruto, too. I can see everyone getting substantial character development in this arc. Since it takes place in the Leaf Village and has to deal with the espionage and warfare on a large scale, literally every character could have a chance to shine. We also never saw much of the Foundation, so they could get some further development as well here. And by the time Tsunade wakes up from her coma, I can imagine she'd be so impressed with many members of the Konoha 12 especially, stepping up during a time of crisis when she herself was incapacitated. She may promote people like Shikamaru, Sakura, and Shino, and maybe Sai too, to Jonin because of their contributions to protecting the Leaf Village, which would be cool because it means that the Leaf Village would be going into the war arc with a few more Jonins. But yeah, there's so many ways to write a Konoha Civil War arc. I feel like it's shocking that we didn't get one, but overall the story still worked out just fine. But how do you guys feel about this arc and all the potential ways it could have impacted the series? What specifically would you have liked to see happen? Leave your comments down below. Please leave a like and subscribe. And as always, thank you for watching.